Okay, so I went back and forth trying to figure out what this video was actually going to be about. And at first, I was gonna talk about Veronica, but let's be real, everyone already knows how annoying she is. Then I thought maybe I'd write about the map balancing because it really feels like everything is heavily in the server's favor right now. But then the map balancing update came, so that's pretty irrelevant now. So yeah, that's why this took a bit longer than usual. I've been overthinking it way too much, but now I finally know what this video is going to be about. Let's talk about Veronica stacking.
Babies are just kind of like almost have souls, but not yet. So if a baby dies, it's like, well,
What?
I'm pretty sure most of my audience already know what stacking in Forsaken is, but if you don't know, stacking in Forsaken basically means multiple players picking the same survivors in a match. Like having 2 sentinels, or 2 survivors, survivalists, or 2 supports. Now that sounds pretty strong, right? Like imagine having multiple sentinels, they could chin stun the killer non-stop. Which is a complete nightmare for, well, the killer, aka the power role in Forsaken. This was such a problem back then that the devs added something called stacking debuffs. Here's how it works. If multiple players choose the same character class, the abilities of that class become weaker. For sentinel stacking, the stun duration becomes much shorter, plus the killer gets more iframes. And then we got support stacking. Healing and the utility are nerfed. For example, Elite's pizza heals a lot less if there are more than 2 elites in a match. Same applies to the other supports. However, and this is the important part, stacking penalties do not affect the survivalist class. Unlike sentinels and supports, survivalists are the only class that don't receive stacking penalties. Why? Because their abilities are designed almost exclusively for their own survival, not to help the team. Take Double 7 and 7 for example. His abilities are all about tricking the killers into chasing his clone. His cool GUI helps him escape by teleporting away, but it takes a lot of time. His clone can block attacks, but only sometimes, especially against skilled killers. He's a self-focused survivor. Stacking debuffs won't actually stop him from helping the teammates, because that's not what he does anyway in terms of his class. Now sure, his clone can block attacks, but again, just like I said, only sometimes, especially against skilled killers, and considering that 2 killers currently has pierced M1 attacks. Then there's Noob. Bloxicola gives a short speed boost to help him dip away from danger. Slate Skin Potion gives a huge overheal, but slows him down. And yeah, it's actually a pretty clear trade-off. Again, both abilities are meant for his escape and survival. Now, imagine if stacking penalties applied to them. Sure, Bloxicola speed boost just because another player picked Noob, 077 clones disappearing faster because there are 2 double 7s, that would make the class completely pointless. Their abilities are already balanced around personal survival. Punishing them for stacking would just ruin their core gameplay. However, Veronica is the odd one out.
I'm just putting this out here. Smurfing or pretending to be weak when you're strong is a symptom of narcissistic personality disorder.
I'm pretty sure everyone here already knows how Veronica works. She places gravity, rides her skateboard, and it's just annoying. Veronica is what I like to call a late game nightmare. If she's allowed to freely set up and hide her gravity early on, she will dominate the late game and even clutch as the last survivor standing. And her best counter is just to eliminate her first and destroy her gravity. Basically means you must target her, and that is definitely not fun for both sides. Now, killing her first is honestly not that hard if there's only one Veronica. Not only do you have to track down double or triple the amounts of graffiti, but you still have to deal with the rest of the team. Ignore sentinels, they will stun you. Ignore supports, they'll undo all the pressure that you build. And sure, Veronica can't be healed by Elite or Bilderman, but she can steal 50 HP just by doing generous and using her skate ability. Oh, and let's not forget her skate modes. We got face mode, she literally phase through you and gets a massive speed boost. Mobility mode lets her do whatever the fuck this is. And bumper mode, which is basically a better version of Guest 1537's charge attack. So, with all of that, why doesn't Veronica get a stacking she's of survivalist? Yeah, survivalists don't get stacking debuffs because their abilities are supposed to only benefit themselves. But not Veronica. Veronica is the only survivalist whose kit can directly affect the killer and the entire match way more than it should. She completely breaks the design rule, making balanced gameplay between killers and survivors really hard to maintain, and most importantly, fun to play. Not only she is incredibly strong on check, but she can also actively assist her teammates by knocking back the killer with her skateboard in bumper mode. And yeah, bumper mode is still better than getting 7's charge ability after the nerfs. You know, that ability that's supposed to knock back the killer and buy your team some time? Veronica just does that better. Sure, she has to be inside her graffiti zone for it to work, but that doesn't really matter when her teammates can just camp in her graffiti zone to protect her in return. And with only a 10-second global cooldown for the knockback, it's honestly way shorter than it sounds. And there can be multiple Veronicas in a match, and they can easily coordinate their bumper modes. Sure, you get bumped once, but then the other Veronicas just need to wait 10 seconds to bump you back. So yeah, giving her a stacking penalty might sound like an easy fix, but honestly, that would just make her useless. Look, I get it, she's annoying to play against, and there's no doubt about that, but she's not overpowered. People tend to forget that her skate ability drains a lot of stamina, and she's actually very punishable if you time your attacks right. And you can again just target her to prevent her from actually winning the game. You can also win against teams with Veronicas. You just need to play your cards smart. Even Meatkill, you know, the Forsaken Challenge YouTuber, managed to fight against 8 Veronicas and still came very close to winning, and then actually won a match. So yeah, Veronica stacking is a problem, but that doesn't mean she needs a harsh stacking debuff. What we really need is a better map balancing, and thankfully, this latest update actually did a solid job improving that.
Sure, it's nice being the head of the food department here in K-Couple. Hi, Dong.
So to wrap things up, Veronica stacking is definitely an issue, but it's not a game-breaking one. She bends the rules of survivalist class more than anyone else. And when there are multiple Veronicas working together, things can get real chaotic. But at the same time, she's not unstoppable. Her stamina drains keep her in check, and skilled killers can still punish her if they know what they're doing. That's what makes Veronica interesting. She's strong and annoying, but not broken. Instead of giving her a stacking debuff that will make her unfun or straight up useless, I think the better route is what the devs are already doing. Improving map balance and tweaking her abilities just enough to keep things fair for both sides. But that's just my take. What do you guys think? Is Veronica stacking still a big problem, or are you just overreacting? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all on my next video. Goodbye, and keep having fun.